Hi there, my name is Richard, and I am a musician and Rudra Veena student. I wanted to make this video today to give an explanation on the anatomy and different parts of the Rudra Veena, why we call it a Rudra Veena, the differences between this and some other Venas, as well as perhaps touch on the mythology of where the Rudra Veena comes from. But first, I would like to give thanks to my Guru Madhuvanti Pal, without whom I would not be sitting here with this beautiful instrument, studying this beautiful ancient music. So all thanks go to my Guru Madhuvanti Pal and her gurus that came before her. So, why do we call this a Rudra Veena? Well, this is called a Rudra Veena because it is made according to the individual musician's Rudra measurement. That would be the measurement from the end of the palm to the tip of the thumb. And that is taken by the instrument maker, applied to the construction of this Veena, and you have a Rudra Veena. Now, there are many other types of Veena. The word Veena itself generally only means string instrument. The word has been around since the Samsaveda, and there are many ancient harp-like instruments that are referred to as Veena. It can be seen in many sculptures and paintings. You also have instruments such as the Vietra Veena, which is a slide instrument shaped very similar to the Rudra Veena here, however it does not have any frets and is played with a marble egg-like device. You have the Saraswati Veena in South India, which is very popular. You also have modern instruments like the Mohan Veena, which is a heavily modified slide guitar. And then even amongst Rudra Veena, you also have two types of Rudra Veena, generally speaking. You have what's called a traditional Rudra Veena, which is smaller than what you see before you. The traditional Rudra Veena is played on the shoulder, the top tumba or gourd resting on the shoulder and the bottom resting on the side. And that was the general style of the Rudra Veena for the majority of its life. However, in about the 50s, Ustad Ziamdagar decided to redesign the Rudra Veena to more suit the Dagarvani vocal style. So he enlarged the Veena, put larger gourds, a larger dandy, thicker strings, added a cherub, hollowed a peacock. Although I believe some of the Dagar Veenas have solid peacocks. That's depending on what the artist requires. And created what, at the time I'm sure, and probably I'm sure some still argue, would be a completely different instrument. But due to the fact of its creation with the measurements in mind, we so call it a Rudra Veena. Now, the Veena I have in front of me is in the Dagar style. However, it is itself heavily modified. Generally speaking, Veenas will have a raised fret system, a thinner dandy with chips of wood that have frets laid on top of them, and they will also be movable. They were originally held on with wax, but then were later tied on just for ease of movement, as temperatures and humidities change and will affect what the instrument sounds like. And over the years, different instrument makers have tried different things. My Guru Madhuvanti Pal had come to this flat fret system with the inspiration of people like the luthier Chris Daughtridge, who built his own Rudra Veena 20 years ago based on measurements of Ziamdagar's Veenas, utilizing this system. Madhuvanti's guru, Dr. Pandit Rajnankar Vyas, adopted this system. And we've even been able to find antique Rudra Veena in museum collections that also have utilized this system. You will also find some instruments like sitar Veenas, which have a similar system but will have more sitar-like frets, some of them being curved. However, these are flat. The Saraswati Veena also uses a similar sort of system. However, it uses wax to affix the frets rather than the wood ledges that are here on this Veena. So now that we know why it's called a Rudra Veena and some of the differences between the different styles of Veena, I'll start going over the different parts here. So as you can see, there are some main aspects to it. Up here we have this long hollow tube. This is called a dandy. On either side of the dandy we have the cherub and the peacock. They're connected by these two bangles here. Let me see if I can move this. The cherub is also hollow, the dragon head here. It holds the pegs, which hold the strings. And then on the other side, we have the peacock, which is where the strings are affixed. They run over these pieces of bone called juvari, which are traditionally made out of deer antler or ivory, but now made of either general bone or there are synthetic materials which are available. The peacock does not necessarily have to be hollow. Mine is hollow. However, generally speaking, they would have been solid. Sometimes it can add resonance depending on the other aspects of the Veena construction. Here you can see the don't keep hitting the microphone. Here you can see these are hollow as well and have metal tubes, and these affix the tumbas or gourds to the dandy. These tumbas are made of calabash gourds, which are seasoned and then shaped and then have these wooden decorations carved onto them. Now these decorations serve as support for the gourds, which are extremely fragile and must be handled with the utmost care. The upper wood carvings here can vary. Sometimes they will be extremely carved, as is more common nowadays, particularly on teak wood, Asad Ali Khan style or Dogger style Veenas. However, traditional Veenas were generally not as highly carved. They were more simply decorated. Myself, as I got to choose the decorations on my Veena, I wanted a specifically very subtle traditional carving that included palm leaves. Coming from Florida, it was very important to me to have palm leaves carved onto my Veena, and sure enough, I made sure that that happened. And then the Veena will be stained, decorated, and then polished, usually in a French style polish with shellac. Again, different Veenas will have different stylings. Veenas can range in different colors from all black to mine, which is more of a natural tone with some decoration that was put onto the tumbas here, which I like very much. Very beautiful, very unique. And then on the underside of the tumbas here, you can see that there are more carvings for more stability, as well as if you can see inside both the tumbas there are these metal washers that affix the tumbas to the dandy. So those are the main parts of the Veena. Of course, you have the pegs here. You have these little tuning beads, which are called monikers. They are used for fine tuning, because these are friction pegs. So once you get to a general tuning, as close as you can, you'll use these to fine tune where you need to go. This is the nut, or the aura. It's again, would have been traditionally made of antler or ivory, now is more commonly made of bone or synthetic material. On either side, there are these two little bone pieces. They can be wood, I'm sure, that hold the chikaris and the laraj. And then, of course, the strings. You have 3 chikaris here. Those are held in place by these pegs. You have the baj, the main playing string, here. Then you have the judi, the pancham, and the karaj. And then you have down here the little raj string, which not only adds an extra drone note to the Veena, it also adds stability, as particularly traditional Venas, which were made of bamboo and highly susceptible to temperature changes, having these kind of strings on the Veena would warp it and cause it to um, bend. Having the extra string would help with the stability of the instrument. Uh, Now we use harder woods, so it's less likely to happen, but again, it adds nice tone. I know some musicians have chosen not to use it. When Jyoti Hegre played on her traditional Veena, she played without the Laraj string. Although now I believe she plays in the Saad Ali Khan style, which does have the Laraj. I should also mention that on my Veena specifically, as well as other Venas that have been designed by Madhuvanti, the Laraj and the Chikari Juvaris are not even. On generally traditional Venas, you would have the Laraj and Chikari Juvaris even with each other. However, to make playing a little more, I don't know if easy is the right word, but to allow for more ease of playing, um, it does help. It does help to have the Chikaris just a little closer, and although some may argue it does not make it not a Rudra Veena to have the Chikaris a little higher. So that's the basic anatomy of it. I think I got most all the parts here. I will also say there are some good diagrams online. I'll put a link as well if you want to look further. And I might spend just a little bit of time talking about the mythology of where this instrument comes from, because it's a beautiful story. But the mythology and the thought is that Shiva one day saw his wife Parvati sleeping naked with her arm decorated in bangles covering her chest. And he thought it so beautiful that he went into nature and he took two gourds and a stick and he took gut and he strung it together and created the first Veena. And if you look at them, you can kind of see how this mythology plays with the Veena. It's a beautiful story, and I think it adds just to the beauty of this instrument. I think for more research into that, look more on online and in YouTube. Find a teacher, have them explain it to you as well, and enjoy yourself. Enjoy the music. Enjoy the instrument. Don't overthink. Don't overstress. That's what I've learned with it. There can be so much to it. I tried to have one of these made before I found a teacher, and that almost had me end up with a Veena that may not have been correct for me. But now I have a Veena that was made for me, plays well for me, and that I've enjoyed learning on, and that I will have for many years to come. So, I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is having a good time, takes it easy, and everyone be nice to everyone. Peace.